So the term Nepo-Baby has kind of become a buzzword. And if you're not familiar with that, it basically comes from the word nepotism. And that refers to people who end up working in the same industry as their successful parents. So spoiler alert, I'm kind of a Nepo-Baby. Talking about money, Dave being my dad, it's true. But also, Ramsey, we talk about changing your family tree and how do you set up the next generation to win. So we're going to talk all about it. And we have some A-list celebrities that have thoughts on this too. So make sure to leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. Okay, so here's the thing. When you are looking at personal finance, you can't ignore that some people have more advantage than others, okay? This is true. So whether it's generational wealth, whether your parents have helped you pay for a car, pay for college, even having just the knowledge of how to handle money, whatever the factors are, there are people that start off at a different place. Now, is that always a negative thing? Because the word nepotism, or the idea of someone starting off better, usually comes with a negative context. And so there is a degree where that can be true, because I think that's where levels of entitlement and competence, like things that we are not good in life, can be bred out of those things. And we don't want that. But we do want factors of your story to say, hey, if you have been winning financially, then yeah, it's only natural that you want to be able to help your kids, but you want to do it in a really healthy way. And so whether, you are a Nepo baby or not, or you're going to have Nepo babies or not, all parents want their kids to grow up with dignity and resilience. And so I found it so relatable in a sense when I saw a couple of these videos from celebrities where they started talking about this idea in interviews, and it was so funny. So today I'm going to rewatch both of these 2 clips that I saw and kind of give you my thoughts on them. And again, I want to hear what you think as well. All right, so the first one is a clip from good old Ben Affleck. So here's the clip.
This clip that went viral of you with your son looking at these sneakers, which were an absurdly high price, and you had the best line, which I plan to use, which is, I'm rich, you're not.
He was like, yeah, because he wanted these shoes. Like, so see these sneakers. I was like, this sneaker was $6,000. What are you talking about? We're gonna pay what are you gonna do? Mow lawns? Like, you got $6,000? He's like, we have the money. I was like, I have the money. You're broke. As far as I know, you don't have to lend me $5,000. Right. You got nothing. So it's like, listen, you love your kids. You want to give them everything and do everything for them. But I think you definitely do them a disservice by not connecting. You want something meaningful that you want.
Yeah.
You have to work for that.
Do your kids work?
Yeah, my oldest 2 have jobs. In fact, one just got a job, and one like the kind of classic, teenager working in a shop job. I won't say what it is. And my older one who's in college is working and trying to get an internship for the summer and stuff. And yeah, my son who's 13, he's reckoning with that reality right now as he's looking at no shoes in his closet, thinking about, well, he got shoes, just no crazy expensive fancy shoes. I'm like, well, if you want that, you can work 1,000 hours.
I mean, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like a minimum wage.
So good. I think that's so funny because honestly, I'm like, and it's the third kid. It's the third kid asking for that. And I will never forget, Mom and Dad, they got a new car. This is when I was in high school or something. And my brother, third kid, he was early middle school, maybe late elementary school. And he was in the back seat and he was like, man, Dad, we have a nice car. We're doing pretty well. And I will never forget, Dad had the same reaction as Ben Affleck. Dad turned around. He was like, I have a nice car and I'm doing pretty well. You guys, pointing to all of us in the back seat, he's like, you guys got nothing. And so you just appreciate that. A little old-fashioned parenting, because I do think there's the stereotype that, if your parents are successful, then automatically you're ruined as kids. And I don't believe that. I think it can be harder. I think it can have its different challenges for sure. But also, I think there's a beauty in what that looks like in changing the next generation. But you don't want to forget those facets of connecting work and money, which is very, very important. So I love it. All right. The next clip is an interview that I wish I was sitting in on. But first, I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. So you guys, health insurance costs are only moving one way, and that way isn't down. And the wait times are getting longer, and it's harder than ever to get anything approved. So if you feel like the system is working against you, try Christian Healthcare Ministries, a biblically based alternative to health insurance. CHM is a health cost-sharing ministry that's helped hundreds of thousands of families take care of healthcare costs, stay true to their values, and avoid getting tied down with miles of red tape. Because you guys, there is a better way. And CHM programs start as low as $98 a month. So find out more and join at chministries.org/budget. That's chministries.org/budget. All All right, video number 2 is with Gwyneth Paltrow, and she is on Hailey Bieber's podcast. And this was a really interesting conversation.
I was actually having a discussion with someone yesterday about the whole idea of nepotism. And I think this is really interesting to ask you because obviously you have this insane career. I would love to hear your perspective on that.
I mean, I think it's fair, right? Because as the child of somebody, you get access that other people don't have, right? So the playing field is not level in that way. However, I really do feel that once your foot is in the door, which you unfairly got in, then you have to work almost twice as hard and be twice as good because people are ready to pull you down and say you don't belong there and you're only there because of your dad or your mom or whatever the case may be. And it shouldn't limit you because what I definitely believe is that nobody in the world, especially anybody that doesn't know you, should have a negative impact on your path or the decisions that you make.
I agree. Oh, I'm like, I need to hear this today.
And I thought that was a really level-headed take from her because I do think there's a level of awareness, being self-aware of like, hey, this situation, it is different than the rest of the world out there, my specific situation, but also I have to be able to deliver, right? And I think the same thing when it comes to money and our kids of like, if you are getting out of debt, you know, you have your emergency fund, you're funding retirement, and this idea of leaving a legacy, you know, for your children, inheritance to your children's children, as scripture talks about, like, there is something to be said of like, they need to be aware of what has been handed down to them. That is a responsibility. And that is different than how a lot of people are. And that awareness is so, so important. But also you have to be able to handle it well. You have to have the tools and the talent to be able to handle that responsibility. So whether it is a job or money, whatever it looks like, I think both of those factors are so key. So I always think it's interesting. So as parents out there, I want to encourage you again to be able that when you're raising your kids, again, whether they're getting an opportunity in a business or they're getting an opportunity financially, that is different in the world, that there's gratitude and awareness around that. But then also having the confidence to say, yeah, but I'm going to have to deliver because if not, the real world will come back at them. And so there's something to say about being successful in that is really important. So whether it's handling the responsibility of a job or money, that is really key for them to see. Now, if you want the real scoop on wealth building and parenting, then check out What Everyone Gets Wrong About Generational Wealth. You can click here for that, or if you're listening on podcast, click the link below. All right, you guys remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.